Here we go, a very Dartmoor scene. Don't get this in the city, do you? Well, I thought they'd all gone, and then a load more appeared. We'll just have to wait patiently. Little family, out for a walk in the country. Big family actually, extended family. Welcome to Fernworthy Reservoir again, and this is my second attempt within the month to have a little outing here. And last time I didn't really get to show you the reservoir, but the bit that I'm standing on now, just here, last time I was here, the water was right up to the level of the path that you can see going round, and where I'm standing I would have been more than knee deep in water, and there were reed beds and stuff. Yeah, well, not reed beds actually. I think those long grasses over there, they kind of look more like reed beds at the time. I might see if I can find an old picture, the old picture of them. But certainly it's changed a lot, and water levels very low, despite all the recent rain. So the light, there's a possibility the light might get interesting for sunset. I'm not holding out my hopes. Definitely not an Astro night. The moon will rise at about the worst time really. The moon will rise about 9:30, something like that, 9:25, while it's still astronomical twilight, and it's about a 3/4 moon. So definitely not a night for shooting the stars, unfortunately. But you know what? I'm going to take the pressure off myself tonight. I'm just going to just have a chill time really, and enjoy being out in nature. So if I get some pictures, that'll be great. If it's a nice sunset, that'll be wonderful. And if it doesn't, do you know, I'll just have had a nice trip out. And this time, I wouldn't have got caught in a deluge like I did about 3 weeks ago. I decided it might be worth getting the big camera out, because I think there may be a shot to be had down on the shore there with some rocks that will make a nice bit of foreground. And if I put the big stopper on, I can smooth out the water, and might be quite effective. So I'm going to go and give that a go. Well, I think photographically I'm going to call this one a bit of a shot to nothing really. The light isn't great. It's gone pretty sort of just grey, sort of milky, weird grey sky, and but nevertheless it might work in mono. It's not really going to work as a colour shot because the light's just not good enough, but technically it's going to get my mental juices flowing as far as this camera is concerned, and I need to do that. I need to start to push it a bit and find out what I can do with it. Firstly, I'm going to put a polarizer on and see how that improves things. We might just see a few stones just below the surface of the water here, and I'll put that on first. And I have a circular polarizer to go on the front of the leaf filter system. And then I think what we're going to do, we're going to slow the image right down and smooth out this water. We're going to put the big stopper on. And then once we've done that, I'm also going to need to adjust for the sky, because the sky is a lot brighter than the foreground and the mid-ground. So I will put a graduated filter on as well. So here we are. I'll try and put this on screen if I can get the right one when I do the post-processing. But I've tried a variety of shots and different exposures. It's difficult because the light does change a bit during the exposure. The astute amongst you will notice it's a different hat now, or buff, or whatever it's called. And yeah, we had some pretty decent light for sunset, and I think it's pretty much over now. We're about 25 minutes after sunset, so most of the colour has gone from the sky. Rushing around like a mad idiot as usual when it comes to getting sunsets done, especially with new equipment, and so just lots of things that I would kind of take for granted with the Nikon that I just know how to do are slower to do at the moment on the Sony. But I think I've got it set up pretty well. I've got a dial set up for ISO, I've got a dial set up for aperture, we've got a dial set up for shutter speed as well. Got all the adapter rings sorted out for putting on filters and so forth, and so most of that can be done relatively quickly. But I'll just show you a little bit of the scene here. As the sun sets, and yeah, it's a slightly frustrating place to shoot, if I'm honest, because there's this nice rock over here. It's called for those of you that don't know, it's called a Logan stone, and kind of just because it's just sort of, well, I don't know where the name comes from, but it's just sort of balancing there, and it's just kind of, it was just in the wrong place really. You know, I'd love to kind of get a shot down the side of it and make more of it, but anyway, I've had a bit of an attempt. I have tried to shoot it before and encountered similar issues. The main issue this evening is that when it started getting a bit nippy and I went to get my coat, it wasn't there, and so I must have left it in the car. I took one coat out because I decided I wouldn't need it, and my feather down coat, that it wasn't really cold enough for that, and that my shell would be adequate, so I put my shell into the bag that the feather down coat had been in, and then I must have just left it in the boot of the car like a complete idiot. So it's going to be a bit of a cool night. I've got 4 layers on. I've put all my spare clothing on. I always bring spare clothing, which is just as well, because otherwise I think I would be heading back to the car now. Anyway, I'm going to make sure I don't get cold, so I'm going to eat something hot now, and then I'm going to stay under cover in the tent, and I'll see you guys in the morning if I don't decide to do something in the middle of the night. Okay, so this was an object lesson this evening in never just assuming stuff. So I took a look at the tent at about 10:30, I think. So the moon would have been up for about an hour or so, and so it was a good few degrees above the horizon, but it was still quite red, and I thought, oh, I could take some lunar shots with my 600mm RX10 Mark IV, and see how those come out. So I had a bit of a go at that. No idea really how they will have come out. I'll have to wait and see when we get them into Lightroom, but worth a try. And then I noticed that the Milky Way was just about visible to the naked eye, and so I decided that I should have a bit of a go at shooting the Milky Way, and which was pretty much in the opposite part of the sky to the moon, and because the moon had only recently risen. So I had a bit of a go at that, and it's going to be interesting to see how the results of that turn out. It's not going to be really clear because there is a bit of brightness in the sky, and the landscape's going to look a bit strange because it's lit by the moon, which is essentially the same as being lit by the sun in terms of the white balance. So it will look a bit kind of daylight with stars, but that might be quite effective. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how they came out. My concern about them though is that I hadn't rehearsed trying to focus on stars in the dark, and on these cameras, if I'm honest, I've really got no idea at the moment how to do that. So I had to just leave things in autofocus, and we'll see what the camera has done. I might have some nice compositions and find that they're all completely out of focus, because everything looks sharp on a little screen, doesn't it? But it's when you get them on the big screen that you really can tell. The other thing I did, I broke out the RX100 Mark V because that has an f1.8 lens, and so I tried that as well, although most of the shots I shot with that one were with noise reduction, long exposure noise reduction on, and that may have got rid of quite a lot of the stars actually. Some cameras have difficulty distinguishing between noise and starlight. Anyway, eventually I realised, and I turned long exposure noise reduction off, and so it'll be interesting to see what kind of difference that has made. Anyway, so there'll be some stuff to look at, and whatever happens, I will have learnt something tonight. So there you go. That's it. I think I'm going to turn in, and I'll see you guys in the morning for dawn. I'm going to show you the site, the traditional "our site is clear" kind of picture, and everything cleared away. It's been a really nice pitch, and there's my stuff over there ready to go. The mist has cleared off the waters, and the sun is now well up in the sky, and the temperature is climbing, so I've been peeling layers off. Before I disappear, I'm just going to use my iPhone to show you a little bit on this camera. So I've returned to using the small camera on the gimbal here, and that's because I was really struggling to get the RX10 properly balanced. I'm just going to make sure this doesn't go to sleep, and yeah, so I've resorted to this, which is, to be fair, the whole reason I bought this one primarily in the first place was as a video kind of vlogging camera, so that's fair enough. I've put a couple of things on it already. You'll notice this isn't a standard RX100 Mark V setup. I've put a small rig cage on it. That means I can mount other things on the cage, which I haven't done yet, but it also means it helps protect the camera, which is very necessary given the way that I inevitably end up chucking things around. And then the other thing that I've done is I have put these little microphone wind protectors on there, and these are homemade from basically on some instructions from another YouTuber whose name I'm really sorry I forget right now, but I will try and put a link to that particular YouTube channel and video that explains how to make those, because they've actually proved relatively effective. So this camera has been behaving pretty well on the gimbal. I've really got to get to grips with the other one, but anyway, been a really good trip, and the weather has been very kind to me this time. There was hardly a breath of wind in the air last night. No flapping around of the tent or anything like that. It's been a really great trip, and but it is time to go home. And thank you very much for watching. I hope that you've enjoyed it. It's probably going to be a ridiculously long vlog, this one. But thanks for watching, and if you've enjoyed it, like, subscribe, share it, all of those other things, etc. And I'll see you again next time for a bit more DSLR life. Bye for now. Always a good idea to have some stuff ready for a brew up when you get back to the car. I've got a long journey home, could be 4.5 hours today, and so cups of coffee.